everyone. It is 8:30 on Thursday, June the 18th, and it's morning briefing time. First of all, no changes to the National Terrorism Advisory System overnight. Snapshot of the region this morning. Updated numbers from the unaccompanied children. As of Monday, 2 declarations are in process. Not in process, or being worked. 4222 and 4223. Looking at damage assessment this morning, the ones in bold have been completed. We do have ongoing damage assessment for both IA, MPA, and the state of Texas. No fire management grants to talk about this morning. Now, as we switch over to the Geo platform this morning, lots of stuff going on around the region. Before we hand it over to Kurt to talk about the weather, looking at state EOCs this morning, Arkansas is at level 3, Louisiana level 4, New Mexico level 4, Oklahoma level 3, and Texas level 2. Looking at shelters this morning, the only state that has open shelters is the state of Texas, and they have 8 for a total of 127 occupants. And those are indicated on our Geo platform by these little crosses. And if you click on them, you can get more details. Looking at power outages this morning, Arkansas 436, Louisiana just under 2,000 at 1,800, Oklahoma just over 1,000 at 1,100, and Texas has 5,003. Here on the map this morning, you can look and you see here we did pick up several more gauges in major flood stage down around the Victoria area. As Bill came ashore yesterday, Liberty over here by Houston on the Trinity River still is in major flood stage. Some of the other things you can get information from on our Geo platform this morning are the DRCs and MRICs, that's mobile registration intake centers, are indicated by the green and black diamonds. Quick look at the radar this morning. You see the remnants of Bill as it's moving through southeastern Oklahoma, lots of rain, with the rain bands trailing all the way back down to Houston. Kurt will tell us more about that. And then the last thing before we turn it over, here are the watches and warnings this morning. So now, over to Kurt.
Thank you very much, Paul. Yes, we've got still have quite a few flash flood watches, flood warnings, and the river flood warnings that are the lighter green polygons. The flash flood warnings are the red polygons, and the dark green is the flash flood watches. We'll be seeing some of those trimming off from the southwest to the northeast as Bill does continue to move off to the east-northeast through southeast Oklahoma and then eventually through northwest Arkansas later today. The band, basically from southern Arkansas back into east Texas and south Texas, has probably got the heaviest rainfall right now. The good news is that it's moving at a fairly decent rate, but the bad news is it's putting out some pretty high rainfall amounts. So another inch or two of rainfall in those areas in east Texas, northwest Louisiana, and then on into Arkansas, and then closer to the center of circulation in southern Oklahoma, particularly the I-35 corridor between Gainesville and Oklahoma City for the next several hours could be impacted with some additional moderate to heavy rainfall as that band, that shield of heavy precipitation actually comes down out of the north down towards the Red River Valley before things start to move off to the east. So not quite out of the woods yet, but impact should start to stabilize and then eventually start to get into a recovery mode as we move later into Friday and then on into Saturday. So as we go to the next slide, I think our first slide is the threat matrix. We do have a very, what I call a postage stamp of severe weather potential in the Oklahoma Panhandle. Very, very small area. generally isolated to widely scattered marginal storms out in West Texas, eastern New Mexico, as you would expect this time of year. More of a higher threat is going to be the heavy rain and flash flooding in eastern Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas, and possibly in northwest Louisiana. However, I really think that the bullseye of the threat area is going to be eastern Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas. And then as Bill moves out, North Arkansas will be still a chance for some isolated flash flooding tomorrow, and then by Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, things start to dry out and we stabilize. Next slide. Just wanted to show you some of the tropics. Bill is still listed as a tropical depression or a tropical low. Eventually, it will get assumed up into the Ohio Valley and it will lose its identity, but for now, it's still listed as Bill. This is the rainfall outlook for the next 72 hours. This came out of the Hurricane Center and in collaboration with WPC. You can see the area that we're looking at that has the greatest potential for additional flash flooding and flooding is the Arkansas Basin and part of the Red River Basin. They're in eastern Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas. The good news is no tropical formation is expected in the next 5 days. Just a snapshot of the rainfall that fell yesterday. We had 3 distinct areas, the Red River area in southern Oklahoma and North Texas. We saw that here, even down as far south as the I-20 corridor. East Texas had a period of intense rainfall last night with some flash flooding and some impacts down near Buena, Texas in Jasper County. And then back toward Alice, last night there were reports of a flash flood emergency where Alice picked up, I think, 7 inches of rainfall in about 2.5 hours. And that's down there, down toward Corpus Christi, off to their west. So pretty impactful areas if you were in the right spot. But the good news is that they were fairly isolated and spread out around the state of Texas. Next slide, please. Again, just a graphical outlook of what we're dealing with threats today. Isolated severe storms in the Oklahoma and North Texas Panhandle. The flash flooding threat's probably a greater threat there in Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, east of the I-35 corridor, moving into western and northwestern Arkansas. And then tomorrow, everything starts to push off to the east, and we're not expecting any significant weather events for Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. Next slide. Just looking at the rainfall potential, again, with the tropical system, anywhere between 4 to 6 inches of rainfall across northeast Oklahoma and northern Arkansas, and then probably 3 to 5 inches stretching all the way down into the Arklatex. And most of that rainfall is going to be in the next 24 to 36 hours, and then things will start to move off to the east, and we will begin our drying trend. The next slide is, as Paul mentioned, the river status. We do have this area down in southeast Texas, the Navidad River, and then there's another place called Tres Palacios River near Midfield. Just wanted to show you this is a representative hydrograph. It looks like most of those smaller rivers in between Corpus Christi and Houston have either crested or will crest very soon, and as fast as they rose, they should drop just about as fast as the water makes its way through that system, and we're not expecting significant additional rainfall in those basins. The larger threat area along the Red River will be from Gainesville down into the Arklatex as the rainfall from Bill makes its way, runs off in the basin and makes its way down into the main stem Red River Basin and then works its way downstream. Liberty will continue to be at major flood stage until they're done releasing water from Livingston. So that point will be staying in major flood stage until further notice, just for your information. So next slide, I believe, is the new drought monitor zone. Good news, there's not really any significant drought in Texas, just some abnormal dryness. A little bit of change there in the Panhandle with some categorical improvement. And for space weather, not any significant space weather activity expected today, just a 30% chance of a possible radio blackout, mainly in the Atlantic and then along the poles. And outside of your questions, I think I'll stop the weather briefing there.
Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate that. If you happen to have a question for the Weather Service, go ahead and type that in the chat window. If you're on the phone, ask your question. In the meantime, we'll take a look at the meeting schedule for next week. And In 1972, Hurricane Agnes became a hurricane overnight. And there's a picture of the track of Hurricane Agnes. Produced a lot of rain. Any questions this morning? All right, everyone, have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.